Hey everyone, and welcome back for part two. Um, Today we are discussing chapter 10. I had a relatively long, short lecture for the first part of the chapter, which was all about attraction to both romantic relationships and somewhat to friendships as well. In this part, I want to cover making connections in the modern world, and then the section on love. And then we'll do a separate video on breaking up because, yeah, we'll do that separately. So, making connections in the modern world, that part of the chapter is really short. Basically, what it talks about is online dating. Um, yeah, it doesn't actually say too much about in-person meeting people, and that kind of thing, but it implies that meeting people in person, and more traditional methods of meeting through friends of friends and family friends and um, maybe even at a bar, but probably not. Maybe a little bit better than online. So in person does actually have some support in terms of relationships that start in person have a better chance of lasting and making it compared to those that are online. However, a lot of relationships start online, so I don't want to say that that's bad. Match.com and all of those things have been around for quite a while now, and there's a lot of research on them. Research shows that if you do take all the personality tests and let it match you through algorithms, you're more likely to like a person than if you just swipe right or left. So yeah, a little bit of what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. However, the online dating scene has a lot of misleading information in it. People tend to exaggerate their achievements and their personality and how much they like long walks on a beach kind of thing. And you can, of course, either upload a picture of someone else or alter pictures so that they look like a better version of yourselves. So, yeah, online dating, mm, um, it happens. Good relationships can come from it. There's something about meeting in person, though. Even if it started online, that first time you meet in person, there's something to that that can't quite be matched compared to the internet connection. So literally, it's like, I don't know if it's pheromones, but your communication styles and how you interact with someone in real life is good compared to just looking at a computer screen, either a profile or texting back and forth. The way you type is not the same way as you interact in real life. And so, if you want to be with that person in real life, eventually you need to actually meet them and see if you have that chemistry and compatibility that you can really only get to know once you've actually met someone. So yeah, um, is there anything in there that I really wanted to talk? Um, no, talk about. They just say that again, similarity is important even when dating online. And so the whole like the personality profile matching thing is nice. Also, research has shown that people do tend to pick similar people in terms of looks, backgrounds, maybe even the weird genetics thing. But yeah, a majority of people exaggerate themselves or change something about themselves in their profile. Um, so yeah, sometimes that's unintentional and they just don't know how to describe themselves, but something like up to 80% of profiles where you describe yourselves tend to be somewhat inaccurate. And maybe not half, but in one study from like 10 years ago, they found that 39, 40%, somewhere in there, of photos had been doctored. Um, Yeah, and so that's probably just gotten worse because we're better at it than we used to be. They have one random section on hookups, and basically it says that they aren't as common as it may seem, according to media, and that's true. Um, some people do have short-term and casual relationships, but it's not as common as people who are actually looking to date. They say that 20 to 30% of people have had casual relationships, which that's kind of a small number compared to maybe what is portrayed in movies and TV and stuff. So, anyhow, just so you know, read some more details on that in the book if you're interested. So, let's move on from how to meet people online versus in person, which in person can be better if you're being set up by people or meet naturally through work or whatever. Um, college is a good time. So, love and close relationships, this section of the book. Let me go ahead and share slides just so you're not looking at me the whole time yet again. Okay, here we go. Um, oh, by the way, I meant to point this out earlier. I'm glad that slide popped up. If you are meeting someone in person, like you and a friend are going out for lunch or dinner or whatever, drinks, and one person out of the group puts a phone on the table, the quality of that interaction declines. So you tend to share less with each other and you just don't really have an authentic experience. Even if it's not your phone that's on the table, people get distracted and you tend to have a better time if you hide the phones. So, um, just so you know, now you know. I put up a video already on Sternberg's triangular theory of love, which explains how there are so many different kinds of love and the different elements that go into love and that kind of thing. So here I'll just kind of hit a couple of high points and then move on. There are different kinds of love, and you can love your best friend, and it's not the same way that you love your boyfriend or girlfriend. Um, and that's not the same way that you love a parent or a child. Um, the book simplifies it. It's almost impossible to know every kind of love, but there are two major categories. And again, see Sternberg's triangular theory of love. I love that one. So companionate love is intimacy and affection, and that's not physical intimacy, that's psychological intimacy of sharing things, and affection, just liking them that we have, that are not necessarily accompanied by passion or physiological arousal. So this is more of the friend part, the connection that's emotional, that you just like someone and you're kind of committed to them in an emotional way, but not necessarily super long term. This can come with time, or it can be the thing that starts a relationship, or it could be the only part of a relationship with someone as well. Passionate love is more of that romantic love, and you're attracted to them, physically speaking. So there's the nice little Sternberg diagram where you can have intimacy, passion, and commitment that combines into an ideal long-term relationship. Or you can just have some of it. Typically speaking, dating is romantic love, but eventually it kind of shifts over into this consummate love if it's going to be a good long-term relationship. So, culture and love. I love this section. Love is universal. Around the world, people love to be in love. But what that looks like is a little bit different depending on where you are. Um, romantic love. that more passionate aspect is more important to Western cultures than to Eastern cultures. So the more independent, um, individualistic societies, we want to love someone, which is good, but it can be bad if there's not also that emotional intimacy and commitment that goes with it. Um, Eastern cultures are more into the companionate love in a long-term relationship. And oftentimes that's more important than the passionate love. Um, Americans value passionate love, Chinese companionate, Kenya equally, the different parts. They give you some examples of different kinds of love that are talked about from around the world, that may not necessarily translate easily. Um, this Japanese version, I'm not even going to try. Um, it would be considered unhealthy in Western cultures, but it's the idea of just being taken care of by the other person. We would say it's like too much of a dependency on the other person, but it's considered a sign of a healthy relationship there, or it can be. Weddings. Um, I'm going to put a plug in here for some research they did not include in this edition of the book. But if you look at arranged marriages, which are more common in Eastern um, cultures, those can actually be happier than romantic picks in Western society. So you picking your own partner doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a better relationship than having your family pick it for you. Um, and the culture that's most studied with this is India because they still have arranged marriages, but they also have romantic matches as well. In comparing the two, the arranged marriages do tend to last longer and may actually be happier in the long term, which sounds really strange to someone who, grew up with like the Cinderella mentality or Disney movies. But yeah, it's more about finding a person that fits well socially, that you have a lot in common with, and your family kind of makes that match that you may not necessarily see. Um, the thing about their arranged marriages is that you can reject them. Other cultures, you're not allowed to reject them, and that's not necessarily good. But you can choose to have an arranged marriage, and usually that comes with that or companionate love at first, and it often transforms into romantic love with time. So, just so you know, weddings, who you should marry, when you should marry, what a wedding looks like, all that varies from culture to culture around the world. Attachment styles. They are similar to attachment styles in childhood. Um, an attachment style is just the bond you tend to have with other people. So they say that your attachment style forms in childhood and kind of sticks with you. Research doesn't necessarily say that you have the same attachment style with your parents as you do with people as a grown up. About a third, we'll say a quarter to a third of people change attachment styles. However, there's roughly the same percentage of secure, avoidant, and anxious ambivalent attachments with kids as there are with grown-ups. Just maybe not necessarily the same kids and grown-ups. Um, uh-huh. Yep. So what are those? The first one is secure. This is between, let's say 60% of people. I like that percent. It's pretty close to accurate. People who are securely attached, um, trust the person they're in a relationship with. They're not really concerned about being abandoned. And they feel themselves as being worthy and well liked. They don't question it a lot. They tend to be okay separated from their partner for short periods of time, but they prefer to be together and they're very happy when they're back together. Um, yeah. Um, Avoidant attachment style is where you don't really connect well with people. You don't really have a strong attachment to others. You can have difficulty with intimate relationships because you're afraid to attach. And maybe previous attachments have not gone well. And that's why you kind of develop this avoidant attachment style. And yes, it can start with your parents, but it can also be from experience, not with your parents. Um, I don't remember the percentage on this one. I'm wanting to say it's about 20-ish%. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself later. Um, 25%, according to the textbook. Okay, we'll go with 25%. Anxious style, 25, whatever's left over, slightly less than avoidant is the anxious ambivalent style. These are the hot and cold relationships. Um, you're constantly worried about the other person, if they like them or not. Where are you? What are you doing? Are you cheating on me? Oh my God, I love you. Don't cheat on me. Um, there's a lot of drama usually involved in these relationships. There's a concern that the other person doesn't like them or that they're not worthy of being liked. And there's a lot of anxiety. And people who have this anxious ambivalent style tend to be the ones who text each other all the time and have to know what the other person is doing at all times, or else they get to be freaked out. So lots of anxiety. Um, they start talking about it more in a context of adults as opposed to children in the next slide, but I've kind of already covered this, so I'll just click on these for you. Yeah. Um, Take a look. All this info is also in your book too. And they point out that attachment style is not destiny. It can change. So what your body and brain and love, honestly, it's an overhyped section. It's not very long in the book. But they make it sound like it's going to be a big thing. Basically, based on fMRI scans of the brain, they found that the same area that's responsible for rewards and being high um, becomes active when you're in love. So falling in love is kind of like becoming addicted to someone in a way. And you definitely have some dopamine hits going on in your brain. Um, and so the ventral tegmental area and the caudate nucleus, both known for um, rewards and potentially addiction, and definitely dopamine to the brain, which makes you happy. And you can be high on love. So yeah, that's it for this little part of the lecture. I'm going to shut it down and then I'll start again with the section on breaking up. Bye for now.